Yeah, awesome.
7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Started time. All right, ready to get going? Perfect. All right, just give me 1 second. All right, good. Yeah. All right, good evening, everyone. It's 7 o'clock, and I'd like to call together the March 14th, 2024 school committee meeting. If you would please raise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. This evening, we have a consent agenda posted, which is the minutes from our February 29th, 2024 meeting, as well as an oath to bills and payroll. Do I have a motion to accept?
Motion to accept payroll.
Motion made.
Second.
Seconded by Jen. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
I'll set there. We have a singular item on this evening's agenda, 7:05, public budget hearing. And after that, there's an opportunity for public comment. Maybe we'll ask if there's any public comment beforehand, just to double check, and then we'll roll right into the budget presentation. Perfect. All right, so Kelly and I are going to do this from the podium, and Kelly's going to lead the way. Yeah, so when you get a chance, get set up, you can kick it off, and then I'll follow up. Sounds good. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Did you put me something? Oh, I just should be thanking you then. Cough drops up here, my goodness. You and I are the only ones that have a cold. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to our FY 2025 budget presentation. Exciting time of year where we have a budget ready to recommend to you this evening. And I'm happy to report that the budget that we're recommending will certainly allow us to continue to actualize our strategic plan and meet the needs of students within the district. So you've been watching the news and you're fully aware that we're very fortunate to be in this position compared to some other districts that are faced with some really tough budget discussions each year. We're going to start off with our mission statement. I mean, it really drives our work in our district. And this year we actually revised it and added a sentence. Our mission is to foster a community of learners who strive for excellence and prepare each student to be a successful, contributing citizen in a global society. As a district, we commit to evolve together as a diverse community through education, accountability, and passion. That's who we are as individuals and an organization. Our values, respect, responsibility, integrity, and accountability were values that we live by. So we have a lot of accomplishments this evening, and our strategic plan is really the key document that we use to create our budget. So it's important to spend some time looking at our accomplishments. For the sake of time this evening, I'm going to try really hard to not go over every one of them, but it's going to be hard to do that because they're all really important. But I have 20 pages to go through this evening, so I'll be mindful of that so that we're not here too long. I guess to start off with, then, our first standard, and we go through this for every school, elementary schools we combine. So we're going to start with Shaker Lane and Russell Street School. Under curriculum instruction and assessment, we are continuing to update our curriculum maps. We have, as you all know, some new curricula that we're working with, and it's a great time to convert from a program that we used to use called Atlas to Google Docs, which is going to be a huge change and make a big difference in our district because we're also familiar with Google Docs. Our continued pre-K to 5 professional collaboration for vertical and horizontal alignment. That is so imperative in any district. We're fortunate in our district to have one of each school. I've been in districts, actually, so the only district where I've had that in my career. And it's much easier to attain that, to the point where you have fidelity in that. When you have 4, 5, 6, or 8 elementary schools, for example, it takes a lot more work to be able to stand up at an evening like this and say we're vertically and horizontally aligned. It can be done. You just have to persevere and make sure that you're very explicit in your expectations. It's our second year of implementing Into Math program. I'm really pleased with this program. It's really building a good foundation with our students, and it's challenging them as well. So we're developing critical thinking skills, which is so important. Our reading curriculum review committee, we're currently reviewing 3 curriculums, and next year we should be piloting. So it's exciting. We're at that point in the process. Whenever you do a K-5 curriculum revamp, it's expensive. So we want to make sure that we get it right. We want to come back to the drawing board. We did implement one-on-one iPads in kindergarten this year. It's nice now that we are truly a one-on-one system from kindergarten right through grade 12, which is quite an incredible accomplishment. And we still use M-Class Dibbles 8 early literacy screener for grades K-3. That has been instrumental in helping us identify students that are having trouble learning how to read, and it's also very helpful in identifying early indicators of dyslexia in our students. So it's done exactly what we wanted it to do. With our contract negotiations, we're able to formalize a 60-minute meeting once a month in grades K-5. That has allowed us to formalize our monthly data meetings, which was what we really needed to do. More formality with what we were doing with our data analysis with MCAS and lab testing, etc. We're very pleased with our lab and PACE programs in K-5. They're doing exactly what we wanted them to do. Able to identify students that are able to join these classrooms, and sometimes in some cases more correctly, we're able to keep these students in our community, which is really important. I'm a very strong believer that if at all possible, our students should remain in the community that they live. We do a pretty good job of that. But sometimes as their diversity increases, it takes a while to get that critical mass before we can implement those programs. SEL and UDL MTS, I'm sure you've heard that a gazillion times this year. That's our primary focus for our district, and it's truly making a difference. We're certainly on the right path forward to continue with that for the next few years. And PD, professional development, you can see that I've already emphasized almost everything there. We do mention the cross-district PD day, and that day focused on protocols to enhance student learning. Our special education teachers spent the day learning about the new IEP, which will be implemented next year. Our faculty-led PD, I just want to spend a minute talking about that. It's really powerful to have teachers within a district that are committed and feel confident in offering PD to their colleagues. That doesn't just happen. It's something that you work on for years and years to develop that culture. And we're at a point in our district where teachers are anxious, excited to talk about things that they've learned with their peers. And I'll tell you right now, it may seem easy, but it's not easy. Many educators are really comfortable in front of students, but when it comes to being in front of adults, it's a whole new game for them. So really proud of that. Some of our educators have gone beyond our district and participated in the Tri-District PD Day, state initiatives as well. And we've had a few that have gone to national events and spoken. So, that's one of the many, many factors that I look at as a superintendent to see where we are in terms of education and where educators are in terms of always striving to be the best that they can be. Culture and climate. Shaker Lane and Russell Street continue to focus on heart stripe. Those are words that are ingrained into our students, and I don't think there's a graduation that I've attended here where heart wasn't mentioned by some of the students. So it's been very impactful and continues to be impactful. We created more door signage for safety. I thought I'd mention this one just to make sure that everybody understands that we want our schools secure during the day. We don't want any doors that are propped open or doors that left open with somebody holding them, etc. I know we're a small community, but that doesn't mean that we're not susceptible to not having to be aware of what school safety should look like within our schools. We continue to use our second step SEL curriculum and social thinking lessons. We continue with monthly classroom diversity readings, which is really important as well. Monthly community meetings, committed to generating weekly positive affirmations. And our students are really good at coming up with positive affirmations as a result of educators modeling that behavior throughout the year. We've invited families in to share about share about their cultures, cultural celebrations. I'm encouraged and excited that we're going to continue with that within our schools as our diversity continues to increase in our community. There's a lot that we need to learn about cultures that are moving in. A great way to celebrate together as educators and families. Outdoor spaces, classroom spaces, we're making good use of those, and hopefully we're going to have one at the middle school this year as well, and the high school is a small one. We'd like to expand that. It's nice to get our kids outside and it's fresh air and also learn at the same time. And bulletin boards, I've always been an advocate of displaying the student work, and it just brings our schools alive. And I want to commend our educators for having the same value that I do in that area. Our schools are bright and display schoolwork throughout the entire year. So it's really nice to see. Next standard. Thank you. Community and communication. Our kindergarten ambassador program is alive and well, and we introduced a grade 1 and 2 new family buddy program as well. It makes it really nice for parents of young children to get to know each other within our school setting. We continue with Shakey's virtual storytime night and also the K-5 virtual dance party, which is one of the positive things that's happened as a result of the pandemic. And it's a great way to bring a lot of people together, including families, for an evening. Our art show and townwide band concert as well. We have created community compassion projects. Continue with the weekly principals newsletter. We keep trying to streamline that so it's easier for parents to maneuver through it and get to the information that they really want to or need to see. I'm also pleased that we continue to partner with Littleton High School students with interns and mentors in our classrooms. What a great way for our young students to learn and spend time with older students in our district. It develops some really nice connections. Other activities, Spring Fest at Shaker Lane, which is a real hit, book fairs, Power and Families events, and other family forums. Technology. We continue to emphasize trimester-based Chem or K-5 STEM projects, and we are certainly well versed in our digital citizen program, K-5 as well. We actualize cross-curricular projects, which is really important as well. And we're still working on converting our Shaker Lane Library into an online platform, which is a lot of work, but it's going to be worth it once it's done. Our touch view TVs, we've talked about that many times at school committee meetings. I'm happy to report that our educators are loving them in their classrooms and are looking for new and improved ways to use them. We still pay stipends to technology teacher leaders, and they help our staff learn new technology. And it's a small thing to do, but it makes a huge difference in our K-5 schools. And one way to enhance technology is make sure that your educators have the support so they're not stressed out about implementing something in their classrooms. We still offer ongoing technology tutorials and PD opportunities, and also STEM minutes. Our middle school, well, one huge accomplishment is our middle school was recognized as one of the strongest performing schools within the state. It's an incredible acknowledgement by itself. And our high school ranked number 6 in Boston Magazine's rankings for Boston and area schools. So let's think about that for a minute, because we still reflect on what happened during the pandemic. We forged ahead and developed hybrid and online classes for our students, and it was new to our educators. It wasn't completely new to me as a leader, but it was a huge change for any district, including ours. And we have had lots of dialogue about learning loss, etc., post-pandemic. But when I look at these two recognitions that we've received from the state and middle school in particular, and the Boston Magazine recognition for the high school, it really affirms that we were doing the right thing and we're on the right track. However difficult it may have been for families, students, and educators, we forged a new path in terms of learning models, and it benefited our students. I've had a number of conversations with parents who had children that were juniors and seniors during that time period, and I have not had one negative comment about the education that we provided during that time. These students are doing well in their post-secondary endeavors, and that says a lot for what we've done as a community to support each other through a very, very difficult time. So I just wanted to mention this evening. For the middle school curriculum instruction assessment, we implemented the new iScience curriculum following an extensive curriculum review. We unleveled grade 7 math. I'm so excited about that. So, although I spent time in for lack of a better phrase, British colony where streaming is alive and well, I don't believe in it, and I never have. I don't believe in stringing kids too early. They have plenty of time to learn what they or decide what they want to do, high school or post-high school. So I think this is a first sign in our district that we're rethinking the way we're doing business, and this will allow more students to be able to take algebra in the 8th grade. So I'm really excited about this. We added a second ELA teacher to the grade 6 class or grade in split classes and separate reading writing courses. I'm sure you remember, sometimes we have a bubble coming up from grades 5 to 6. And the only other option we have, because we don't have the 5 teachers per grade in the middle school, is to add another teacher for a year. And it would work, but there were better ways of doing business. This is going to allow us to continue with the emphasis where we feel that's needed. And also when those students go into grade 7, we have a draw to Parker Charter. So the population drops a bit. So it kind of levels out from grade 6 to grade 7. I just thought I'd mention that, but I really feel that what we've done this year by adding that ELA teacher, and it was a reconfiguration with a new staff member, that it's working really well. And I'm proud of the middle school for coming up with that plan. Piloted grade 8 civics for MCAS, and thanks for it's coming back slowly over there, I see. Culture and climate, increased focus on building connections with students to help them regulate when needed. Middle school, any school, but middle school in particular, we really need to pay close attention to social and emotional development, as we all know. Our staff need to be committed, excuse me, we're committed to do that in order to make the difference that we're looking for. We continue with universal mental health screening in 7th and 8th grade and SOS screening in grade 6. Community communication in the middle school. Thank you. So thank you. Middle school hosted a cookout for families prior to school starting this year. That was a great time. I'm so glad that one of our schools ventured out into bringing families together before the start of school. A barbecue, time for our kids to get together and our families to talk about their summer, etc. And it was a perfect day. The only thing I wish for next year is that the wasps stay away when we're cooking, but you know, that time of year is pretty hard to do that. We continue to host musicals, band concerts, other events for families. And again, we want to streamline our weekend updates as effectively as we can to get information out to our communities. Technology, I'm pleased that the middle school is offering game design workshops, since we have a gaming club at the high school, so they get some experience before they go into the high school. And this happens Wednesday mornings. Middle school also implemented a PASS program this year that tracks student breaks. They can schedule appointments, so counselors, nurses, office visits. That's working really well in terms of time management for middle school students, and some of them do need a little bit of time management. They're working with the ELA department to address artificial intelligence and writing, how to embrace this technology. Another thing that I'm really proud, I'm proud of so many things, but when AI hit the news, there are many stories that were negative. There were cup half empty stories. Our district took a real different approach, and it was a cup half full. But how can we use this to improve our learning experiences for our students? And how can we use this to create some efficiencies for our teachers, their planning lessons, etc.? So that attitude or approach still prevails, and I'm looking forward to what we continue to do in the area of AI. It's not going away, but it's only going to grow. And we need to learn how to exist with it and not be against it. All right, the high school that I've already mentioned, the number 6 standing by Boston Magazine. High school, again, continues to incorporate UDL practices and inclusive teaching practices. You can see the consistency throughout our schools, which is so important as well. We completed curriculum reviews in history and world language. It's our second year of our PACE program, bridge program at the high school. They're both working very well. Adopted and implemented a new social emotional learning program for the first time in the high school called Character Strong, which we've heard about before. With 10 school-based and over 25 available online AP courses, Littleton High School had 39 AP scholars, 10 scholars with honor, 8 scholars with distinction. Pretty impressive. We continue to offer dual enrollment courses in partnership with Middlesex Community College. And we offer U.S. history, English, Latin, anatomy, physiology, environmental science, and statistics. So it's kind of a nice platform of courses for our students to receive dual credit. My dream would be to have any student that is going to college have one school, at least one college course in the belt. The research is very clear that if you have taken a course prior to going to college, your chance of finishing on time is far greater than if you don't. So it's certainly something worth pursuing. And I'd really like to see that platform increase with time as well. We've offered the seal of biliteracy for a number of years, which is really powerful as well. Our students, by the time they hit their senior year, if they're really interested and motivated in learning a second language, they're pretty proficient. And I have to tell you, somebody that was put in French classes from kindergarten to grade 10. That was just the way it was when I went to school. I'm not proficient in French. I never really was. I was okay, but you don't use it, you lose it very quickly. So when I look at what our students finish with in our high school, it's just really impressive. They are conversant in a second language. They can write in second language. So, you know, a lot of kudos to our world language teachers for doing a fantastic job. And I guess on that note, my granddaughter is in a French immersion school, so at some point in time, I'm gonna have to brush up on my French. Not gonna have a choice. And in high school, we use map testing just in ELA, and it's a great tool to use to figure out where our students are in terms of skill sets. And as we all know, writing is so important in whatever you do. Reading comprehension is also really important, as well as math. Speaking of math, we use an Alex online adaptive program at the high school level as well. What are you doing for time here? You're good. Professional development at the high school. We continue to focus on technology integration, implementation with interactive panels. You know, in terms of being, you know, a high school teacher, I was a high school teacher for 10 years. And when you're bringing in new technology, I mean, you always have to remember that your courses are action-packed with objectives and goals. And to bring something in and change the way you do business takes a lot of effort and commitment. And but again, I like to commend our high school educators for embracing this concept. And they're doing really well integrating the touch panels or interactive panels into their classrooms. The high school also hosted a bid watch school counselor, collaborative connect for collaborative connections, which is nice to have other districts come to our district to learn together. And some repetition, UDL, cultural proficiency, instruction, technology, social emotional learning, mental health and wellness is certainly alive and well at the high school. Climate and culture. We continue the universal mental health screening. This has made a huge difference, by the way, in middle school and high school, and allows us to provide intervention just far earlier than before we use screening tools. So one thing that is another thing that's really important. High school annually participates in the Great Kindness Challenge, so they're a kindness certified school, so they're district. It was nice to reestablish our unified basketball and bowling team. So it's really great to see our kids out there playing in other communities and having a good time. Continue to strengthen our advisory connections. And 293 out of our 475 students played at least one sport, equating to a 62% participation rate. And we had a total of 569 total participants in our program. So that's amazing. I don't know how many of you attended large high schools, but did. If nobody, somebody that did, it's a whole different ballgame there. My high school that I attended had 4,000 students. So if you made one sport, you were doing really good. So I mean, sometimes we take things for granted because we're a smaller district, but our kids have incredible opportunities. We have a super strong fine arts and music program in our schools, and when you come to our concerts, that certainly is evident in every production that we've done. Drama productions are incredible as well. And again, that takes a lot of commitment, hard work from our teachers, educators, community members, and our students, of course, to want to go out and do something extra like that takes a lot of time and commitment. So again, something that we're really proud of. Community communication. Survey parents, students, and staff members about the vision of the graduate. So we had a presentation in the last meeting with a skeletal framework for the vision of the graduate. This is in part for NEASC reaccreditation visit that's coming up next year. They've already had a self-reflection process, and they completed a narrative reports on 5 areas: learning culture, the student learning, professional practices, learning support, learning resources. And they're preparing diligently for the collaborative conference in the spring of 2024. We're working hard on increasing internship and work study opportunities as well. I'd really like to see our students have more opportunities to go out and try something that they're interested in. And, you know, we're getting there. We have a ways to go. But it's nice that it's on their minds and they're looking at ways to improve or increase these opportunities. We started to post a new weekly school counseling newsletter as well. And we held a financial literacy fair for the class of 2023, which I think is really important. I would love to see a mandated financial literacy class in the high school that every student would be required to take on graduation. My dreams hopefully they'll come true. Community and communication. Partnered with the U.S. Army in providing a special static display of 2 helicopters on December 7th. It wasn't that static, let me tell you. It was incredible. It was just you know, incredible to see our students touring the helicopter and talking to the crew that was out there, and you know, it was a great way to spend the morning. Hopefully we'll have another occasion to do that. And it was cold with that wind, and I think I shared the story with you. I was standing with one of the pilots' dads, and I figured, well, if he knew where to stand, I'd stand right beside him. We didn't stand in the right place because when one of the helicopters took off and nosed towards us, and I think he blew us back about 20 feet. It was impressive. Yeah, wind speed. Those props started facing us, but I learned a lesson from that one. And then I turned behind and I realized the whole police department was about 30 feet back. Okay. Thanks, guys. Yeah. Technology, continued implementation of LineWise, which provides content filtering, which is really important. It will pick up certain words and it'll send it to the administrator 24/7, so it will catch things as quickly as you can. We still offer PD in technology. I don't think that will ever stop because technology is ever changing. And we have a pretty strong partnership with Virtual High School. And that's really nice to broaden our course base as well. Priorities 2024, 2025. This is what we're aiming to accomplish. Recommended budget this evening. Obviously, to continue to meet the learning needs of all students. Continue an ongoing assessment of our district programming to ensure that students are attaining the skills necessary for college, career, and future ready. We all know that future is unknown, and the job market is somewhat unknown as well. Our kids need those skill sets to be able to toggle into something else, and also have strong resiliency skills as they enter possibly many careers after they finish college and high school. Continue emphasis on student and staff wellness, enhance SEL learning experiences. You know, the key is student, and it's also staff wellness that we need to be concerned about. A lot of articles out there on teacher burnout, teacher stress after the pandemic, and it's alive, and we need to do whatever we can to support our staff so that they also develop those resilience skills to continue to be healthy and be able to be in school and teach our kids as much as possible. Further develop instructional practices, integrate social and emotional skills and wellness, support inclusion, equity, and diversity, cultivate belonging. That's so important. We do reviews every year and take a look at inclusion and equity within all of our schools to make sure we're not missing something. You know, our goal is to make sure that we're as inclusive and equitable as possible. We're committed to that. Advanced growth mindset strategies, develop and enhance executive functioning skills, reflect sheltered English immersion best practices. We are getting an increased number of students that need EL services in our community, and we have a strong program. We need to continue to build on the program. Foster a professional learning culture that promotes growth and innovation. And we're have full intentions of continuing our cross-district PD day with Harvard and Fair Shirley Public Schools. As I mentioned a number of times this evening, next year we will be implementing a new IEP form. Almost the last page. Provide continued professional development and multi-tier system of support, MTSS. Actualize our district strategic plan, which is key to accomplishing our mission. equity, diversity, inclusion, and a sense of belonging. Culturally responsive practices, social emotional learning, universal design for learning. Already mentioned IEP. Continue to participate in curriculum review cycles. It is really important that money remain in our budget so that we can review the curriculum. I mean, we've come a long way in the 13 years that I've been here. When I first came here, we didn't have a budget for curriculum. We had some catch up to do, and we've done a real good job doing it. It does need to continue. We want to make sure that our educators have the best resources that they can to reach all students, and you can't do that without investing money. Curriculum. Our maintenance repair plan is also key. If you start letting your schools get run down, the costs go up quickly, and the pride in your schools decreases. And we've done an excellent job keeping our schools in good shape. That's, thank you to school committee and the select board for realizing the importance of keeping our buildings up and having in good shape. Our K-5 math curriculum will continue implementing that. We're using the coach that we bring in, and by the way, I'm sold on coaches. We've implemented a lot of curriculum, especially in K-5. And another dream of mine, since I'm talking about dreams tonight, is going to be to have our own coaches at ELA math for grade K-5 now. And next year we should be piloting at least a grade K-5 curriculum, reading curriculum more correctly. I talked about the NEASC visits. We do place an emphasis and continue to place an emphasis on civic education, which is really important as well. And we'll continue with our exploration of AI. We implemented an online registration, turning online registration feature in Aspen this year. Our rate of return was way better than it has been in the past. And so we will evaluate it, but makes a huge difference having people fill out those forms when they access Aspen, so that we get that necessary information that we need if we have to respond to an emergency or a medical situation. We're going to review and modify safety and reunification plans, technology initiatives, continue to implement site-based technology plans, review and strengthen technology apps and tools for all educators to enhance the learning experience for all of our students. Continue to support staff and students in the implementation of one-on-one technology. Our students are really proficient, but there are always new things to learn. But it's really nice to see the skill sets that the students have, even as they go into grade 2, grade 3 now. So if you look back when we were first implementing technology, it's just no comparison now. So it's really nice to have. And we're committed to not overusing technology. And you would see that if you were in our classrooms. Our kids aren't on computers all day long. We use them when they're necessary to improve the learning environment, but they're not a tool that we use all day long. We continue to develop curriculum lessons using the digital literacy computer science framework standards, as well as the ISTE standards, ISTE or international standards, and continue to support and finalize our K-12 digital citizenship program. We have a DLCS committee that meets once a month that looks at those things. So, and folks, that brings me to the end of my 20-page presentation.
Well done.
No, thank you. And at this time, I'm going to call up Justin to go over the budget numbers for our recommended budget.
You've had a few. Any questions for Superintendent Glency before we go through the numbers?
I just want to thank you I think it's so smart to talk about what our money is being invested in before talking about the money. So thank you for pulling that all together. A very impressive package of what's happening in the schools.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
And I didn't use one cough drop. Oh, that's all.
All right, thank you very much. Wayne, thank you for making that comment, because I was going to say the same. I like the way that this presentation format allows us to see all the great work that gets done in the school system, and then we get to talk about the dollars and cents. As we'll all attest to, it takes a lot to run the district, a lot of good people doing high quality work, and there's dollars behind that. The first slide, which Superintendent Clancy sort of skipped over, was just an introduction about the team, and I think it would be appropriate just to thank everyone involved in the process first. So thank you goes out to Superintendent Clancy, Beth Steele, Lynn Snow, Steve Mark, business manager, and then of course the building administration, John Harrington, Keith Camo, Jason Everhart, Matt Levangie, Carol Temple, Andrew Romano, Michelle Kane, Rebecca Deacon. So it's a collaborative approach. A lot of thought and effort goes into this budgetary process. And I'd also like to thank the other school committee members as well. Jen served on the budget subcommittee with me. And I think because it's been a bit of a challenging budget cycle for the town, other school committee members were present for other budget meetings, and I just want to thank everyone as well. So we're going to start with the budget process timeline. This work begins early in October when the central office starts to initially identify budgetary priorities. A lot of work goes in to the budget between the time frame of October and January. January is when we feel like we've got our first initial look at the budget. We get together, we comb through the figures. It was around this time that we had begun to formalize what we thought our ask would be of the town. At the same time, the town was reviewing their numbers and realized that they might be in a situation where there was a deficit, which ultimately came to fruition. So they had to go back to all the departments in town. It was some point late January where the finance committee and the select board had approached us after a first look at our numbers and asked us for, I'm going to get there in detail, but asked us for a $270,000 reduction at our first look. So some more work was done and we're able to thin that a bit with the $250,000 reduction. We published our preliminary budget for them to review again. Here we are in March with what we believe to be our final budget, so long as we have a vote this evening, and then we will go to town meeting where the town will ultimately approve the budget. So a lot of work goes into this. It takes a significant amount of time, but as Kelly just presented, the benefits are huge. So we will just in recap. So our requested increase for fiscal year 2024 was 5.34%. Initially, we had looked at a 1.305 increase on top of that. In our preliminary appropriated budget, the appropriated portion is the taxpayer dollars. There's other money on top of that, use of revolving funds, grants, things and the like. Our initial ask was $25,338,928. This slide speaks to the collaboration between the finance committee, the select board, and all our departments. So we were asked to thin back by 270. We're going to take a look at, again, as a committee, we're going to take a look and for the record, publish the $250,000 savings or budget reduction and highlight some of those line items. But ultimately, we're presenting a budget this evening that's $250,000 less than our initial ask. But as Kelly stated, the number one priority is meeting the needs of our students, and we feel like we will be able to do that with absolute certainty fiscal year 2025. And we're going to highlight and detail some strategies this evening where we're going to fund some of those line items anyways.
Quick question.
Sure.
So the town asked us to reduce it by 270,000 and we reduced it by 250,000.
Correct. And
So-
they solved the minor difference.
They solved it. Okay.
If I'm on TV, fingers crossed, hopefully they were able to solve the minor difference.
Good. Thank you.
No problem. So this slide here goes ahead and details the $250,000 reduction. And we just want to take some time to explain this. I believe all school committees were present at the joint meeting with the select board and finance committee. So you folks have heard this before, but for the public, there was a reduction of $112,087 that is staff salaries. So essentially we have two posted positions for educational assistants that are currently vacant. We desperately need those positions filled because it's for the benefit of our students. But we felt that it would be appropriate to remove that line item from the budget fiscal year 2025. When we go ahead and hire those folks, we'll pay for those school choice funds anyways. And then, this is probably near and dear to the central office, staff. They're agreeing to sort of kick the can, one more year. So as the school district has grown and public education has become more and more complex, and there's been some changes in town hall, the central office really feels like there's a need for an additional administrative support position. They are absolutely making do with what they have. But in the event that there was an extended absence, injury or illness, or just even simply turnover, the skeleton crew that operates now would probably be severely underwater. But we are going to hold off on that for the year, and we will revisit this fiscal year 2026. Additionally, as part of the budget, there's a $10,000 allocation per school for classroom supplies. As you can imagine, that doesn't necessarily go very far because everyone does back to school shopping. The Staples commercial still cracks me up, but all the families are asked to bring in a laundry list of classroom supplies, and then as the winter months roll through, we're looking for paper towels and Clorox wipes and all that stuff. But we're going ahead and removing the $40,000 for classroom supplies. Again, we will fund what's necessary out of school choice dollars, but to get to a balanced budget, we're removing that line item. And then we had a $150,000 request for curriculum upgrades. Obviously, as Superintendent Clenchey spoke to, there are some curriculum upgrades currently in process. We felt that, again, to get to a balanced budget for the town, we could offer a reduction of $97,913. What that's going to allow us to do is finish the curriculum review that's in place, continue to buy those materials and implement that strategy. And then just for the audience, we're certainly not pausing curriculum upgrades. What we're doing is just going to fund the necessary additional work out of school choice funds. But we were pleased at the time to present to the Select Board and Finance Committee a $250,000 reduction off of the previously requested budget. So I wanted to take some time to go ahead and detail that. We're doing this a little bit out of order, but that's kind of the punchline for those that are interested. And the next slide will cover how we get to the total 2025 appropriated school department budget. So we start with fiscal year 2024 approved budget. And again, these are the appropriated dollars. So we've got $24,433,266. The first line item there is increases to staff salaries. That's a contractual number based upon steps lane cost of living adjustment. We are in year two, this will be year two of what I believe both parties would say was a very successful contract negotiation between the school committee and Littleton Educators Association. This recognizes a 3-2-5 COLA adjustment as well as additional steps and lanes. It's a smaller dollar amount, but just to show the nitty gritty here on everything, the detail. We do have a speech pathologist position that's currently on payroll at 0.8, and based upon the caseload to meet the needs of the students, we do have to bring that to a full-time position. So that's an increase of $18,665. Transportation increases. That's $126,422. That is part of what we hope to believe a 3-year slide from our additional busing costs. That was a two-prong attack in busing fees. We were at the end of a 5-year contract. We knew that upon renewal, we would likely see an increase, and we did. And then with a shift to earlier school start times, running 14 buses twice each morning and evening, morning and afternoon, as opposed to 9 buses 3 times. More buses equal more dollars. So that's not the entire increase. That's just the portion for fiscal year 2025 that the school committee asks the taxpayers to help offset through appropriated funds. And then there's a line item for $57,000, which are operational costs, which we've been highlighting and keeping an eye on for a number of years. Some of this is COVID related, others of it is just standard inflation. So We have an older vehicle fleet within the school system. We're realizing that the cost of those repairs is increasing, fuel costs, custodial supplies, legal services, and the HVAC maintenance contract, unfortunately, is up this year. We feel like that's been a really nice spend for us to maintain those older systems. We feel like we're getting a good bang for our buck. It's up, and we're, as with the busing, we're going to see an increase there. So we were likely spending, we were spending more than 100% of that line item. So the $57,000 increase hopefully gets us back to a level playing field with what our anticipated needs are. And then we've got the reduction from $150,000 curriculum materials request. What we're left with is $52,087. So as you'll see, our total budget request on top of fiscal year 2024 is to the tune of $1,055,666, which represents a 4.3% increase. Which, quite honestly, I feel pretty good about. I mean, it's the school district, as Kelly just detailed with 20 slides, accomplishes a significant amount. And I was going to say 180 days, but it's actually what, 182 now, when it's like 183 days, right? Accomplishes a tremendous amount. The town sort of budgets or allocates, a growth rate of about 5% within the school department budget. And here we are coming in at 4.3. So a lot of work went into this, and a lot of work is going to need to be done with these dollars to continue to provide the services that we do, that our citizens expect. But a 4.3% increase is a really, really nice place to come in. This slide details how we anticipate on using our school choice funds. So we're fortunate to be a school choice town and have a lot of students from surrounding areas select to attend Littleton Public Schools. Again, number 6 high school, top performing middle school. Once they start ranking elementary schools, we'll probably see us hit the list as well. But as we've done in years past, from the school choice funds received, we take about $250,000 of that and allocate it to current year salaries. It's not just as simple as filling an extra seat. Oftentimes those children come in and they require additional services as well, and materials. So that $250,000 offset helps this district function as planned. The next $250,000 line item is all of the items that I detailed from the reduced budget request. So the 2 open spaces for teaching assistants, perhaps that central office position, the $40,000 for school classroom supplies at each school. We fully anticipate needing to spend every one of those dollars. We'll just spend it as the need arises. And that was to the tune of $250,000. And then the school department is still bearing the load of that that transportation increase. What's left over out of that would not be appropriated would be $178,064. So our school choice usage is anticipated to be $678,064. The good news is that as of June 30th, 2023, the school choice balance was, as you'll see, just a tad over $3 million. Looks like a big number, but educational costs can swing wildly based upon enrollment in the area of special needs. So we've only all been school committee members for a term and a smidge. That $3 million balance is really the work of school committees before us and the central office. When we were reviewing the budget with the finance committee, they said, we don't begrudge anyone for having a balance, and we're fortunate that we do, because the town made an ask and we were able to reduce our budget, and we're going to pay for some of those things from our school choice balance. Typically, if all holds true, we should grow somewhere in the neighborhood of about $450,000 to $500,000 from school choice revenue for fiscal year 2025. So for the first time in a long time, our school choice balance will likely go down, but it's still quite healthy. It's about just a bit over 10% of the total budget, which
Sorry,
is
what
exactly
did you
where we
say
want it to
it
be.
What did you say it'll grow by?
450 to 500.
Yeah, 450 to 500. That number fluctuates. We don't, that's a decision that we'll make at the end of this year is, what additional school choice seats do we want to open up? Those that are in the district have the right to stay. But it's in all likelihood, our school choice balance will likely go down fiscal year 2025, but not at an alarming rate.
But this is the balance 2023, which is last year.
Correct. So we don't know what it's going to be for 2024, right? Because that's a future date. And what we're highlighting is what we believe the usage is going to be for fiscal year 2025.
But anticipating that it'll increase by 450 to 500,000.
Well, we spent some of it because we spent the 250 and we run into other expenses, but I would venture to guess, and Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, that our June 30th, 2024 balance will be slightly north of the figure that's published on that page.
Yeah, it'll probably be right around the same balance because we're covering the 472,000 for the additional buses this year out of school choice as well. So
Yeah.
it's pretty much break even this year, school choice revenue versus expenses. So
Okay.
it's still in good shape.
All right, so I'll just quickly review the cost centers because this will make a little bit more sense when we touch on the next couple of slides. So when we detail the budget, we do so over the course of 7 or 8 cost centers. The first is regular education, so it's all cost associated with regular education programming. Second one there is special education, all associated costs with special ed with the exclusion of transportation costs. Number 3 is staff support. That includes guidance, nursing, technology, curriculum, professional development. Other instruction is co-curricular and extracurricular cost center. Number 5 is the superintendent's office and staff and the school committee costs. Insert joke about how much money we spend as a school committee, which I think is 1 Panera meal, maybe. And the conference, thank you, Elaine, big spender this
Big
year.
spender.
Yeah. Number 6 is the school administration. That's the building leadership, the principals and office staff at each building. 7 is transportation and busing, regular and special ed transportation costs. And number 8 is facilities and maintenance, operations, maintenance, utilities, which are going to increase, custodial costs, contracted services like the HVAC. All right, so in summary, and then we slice and dice this a couple different ways in case folks want to see it, but in summary, we were $24,433,262, a $1,055,666 increase, and we end up with a grand total for town appropriated 2025, $25,488,928. And we break this out real simply here on with 2 line items. We've got salaries and other expenses. So as you'll see, the district-wide salaries, fiscal year 24, just north of 18 million. We're coming in just south of 19 million for fiscal year 2025. That's a difference of $820,000. Salaries represent 74.1% of our total budget, with other expenses being 25.9%. People are expensive, but the good news is we have good people within our district, and they're the ones that accomplish all of those wonderful things that Kelly shared with us on those previous 20 slides. You'll see that salaries are going up by 4.5%. As Kelly mentioned, other districts are making the news. There's been some lockout situations, and we feel that a 4.5% increase is not enough, but it's certainly fair, and it allows us to arrive at a 4.3% increase across the total budget. You'll see other operational expenses are going up 3.7%. All right, so this details the cost centers. I won't necessarily run through every single one of these line items. We've got regular ed going up 3.6%. That's the largest line item on the sheet here. And then of course there's a significant for special education to the tune of $6.7 million. That's also going up 3%. So our two largest line items, at 3.6 and 3% are helping us arrive at a 4.3% total budget. You'll see student and staff support, that number, in terms of a percentage change. Sort of the one that sticks out with a double-digit increase there of 11.4%. That is the result of salary increases. Some of the curriculum spend is in there. There was also an added nurse position, which wasn't previously budgeted for, which is now rolling into the budget. So it's small, I mean, it's not a small line item at $1.6 million. It's a smaller line item when you run through it. So with those activities arriving at that number, we end up at 11.3% again.
Prior to that, were schools sharing that?
There was just a need to create an additional nurse position.
Okay. So how many?
We have 5 nurses now.
Oh, there's-
One's a floater.
Oh, that makes sense.
I contacted the nursing company that we used for such when I was, didn't go out because she retired and just then.
Justin, are the salaries distributed in mainly between the first two line items?
There's so there's salary and regular ed, of course, right? There's salary and special ed, there's salary and student and staff support. There's salary and system administration,
Okay, so
school
they're all distributed
administration.
throughout these
Yes,
different
exactly.
sectors. Got it.
And then the transportation increase 8.2%. You all know why.
So, I sort of came on the school committee right at the tail end of change in the school schedule and the impact on transportation. Is there like a certain number of years that you're anticipating an impact on the transportation costs from that change, or is it just going to be going?
So
forward?
we know what the impact was when we signed the new contract. The variable there is that every year there's a CPI adjustment in terms of cost of fuel and things like that. But that's not all that significant. Where the impact is that we didn't ask the taxpayers to pay for the whole difference. We were sitting with some school choice funds. And although we surveyed the community and it was an overwhelming support for the decision, as we did with the tuition-free kindergarten initiative, we slid that into the budget over like a multi-year process.
Mhm.
That's exactly what we're doing here. So fiscal year 2024, there was a piece there, 2025, here's the next piece. The idea is by 2026, that might be the final piece, and we'll see how the finances of the town are
Mhm.
next budgetary cycle. And it would be our goal, since busing is required and so is school, that that all falls within the appropriated portion. But we'll see how it goes.
Thanks. That makes sense.
All right, so this is a bit of a change in information here. So this isn't appropriated. These are revolving, but this is revolving fund usage. So we've got fiscal year 24 versus the estimated 25. And this is non-taxpayer dollars, but for full transparency, just to detail the entire budget. This is money that comes in through ancillary fees like athletic fees, busing fees, rental space within the auditorium, grants, be it state or federal.
Circuit breaker is also in there as well.
Thank you. So the big line item there is special education and pupil services, which is circuit breaker money. So the district's reimbursed a certain percentage above a certain dollar amount for special education expenses. So this, for the most part, is dollars in, dollars out. But as you'll see, the budgeted use for fiscal year 2024 was 4.035. The anticipated use for fiscal year 2025 is 4.66. Represents a $630,000 increase. It's 16%. Again, a lot of that is, or nearly all of it is state aid in one fashion or another. So as our taxes all go up, we are then in turn receiving this money from the state, and it's being used to help offset some of our budget.
Are we anticipating getting 4.6 million in funds, or we got it this year and then we spend it next year? Is it a year ahead?
So some of it's a year ahead,
Okay.
like the circuit breaker funds. So we're gonna receive funds for our usage this year. We're gonna submit our reports. And they'll earmark a certain dollar for us, and we use those funds first, and then we supplement with our dollars. Other funds here, like ticket information at the gate of Alumni Field, and the
Yeah.
busing for next year and stuff. I mean, we have an idea what that's gonna be.
Okay,
Um,
it's anticipated then.
yes.
Income, okay.
Right, and some of it is in entitlement grants and things like that, so.
Yeah.
Steve, maybe this is a question for you. Did you have a chance to compare, the expenses or the salaries for Tiger's Den with what after-school programs in other districts are?
Yes, we've done some studies on that. Our program director has done that. We think we're relatively competitive. We're looking at that for next year as well to see if an adjustment is needed for the Tigers Den program.
Okay, great, because we want to keep our good people.
Yes, definitely.
And it really helped when we started to focus on K3 instead of K5 with Park and Rec becoming partners with us.
Mhm.
So we can really build that K3 program. And so far, it's working really well. Our waiting lists are gone. That's one of the things we wanted to do, is make sure that our families who needed care received care with the Tigers Den program. So the move has been successful to this point in time.
Thank you.
We have a new director of that program this year, so she's kind of getting up to speed on the program as well, and we've been communicating about staffing levels and salaries and
Mhm.
wages and things like that, and doing comparatives.
Great, thank you.
I'm also, yeah, here we go. So this takes the appropriated and the revolving fund usage and just compiles them together so we can see the total anticipated budget for fiscal year 2025. As comparison to 2024, the budgeted use was $28,468,864. Although the ask of the town was for the appropriated dollars was a 4.3% increase, we're anticipating, which makes sense, like all the wonderful, all the slides that you had, Kelly, that detail all the wonderful things that are accomplished over the course of the year. And if we're looking to do more and get better at what we're doing, it's actually probably going to cost us an 8.2% increase over the current budget to the tune of $30,155,010. Again, it's 4.3 to the town. The extra percentage there is hopefully the addition of state aid and grants and other revolving funds that we receive.
Is this appropriation our revolving fund and school choice? All?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all together.
And then what is the number of total students we have in FY?
Total students?
I can tell you, it actually fluctuates all the time, so let me
Yeah, I know we don't know FY 25, obviously.
pull out what I have today. We're running 600 or 1,673 students. Out of that, we have 101 school choice. So
Mhm.
All right, so just want to share future budgetary concerns with the school committee and the general public. Obviously, the first bullet point here, everybody's felt over the past couple of years, and it's likely to continue. But the recent inflation factors and continual impact on future operational budgets. We've seen the prices of our utilities, natural gas, food prices, electrical costs, salary increases, contractual costs all go up. It's likely that'll continue. We'll see. You know, interest rates are pretty high right now to try to fight off inflation, but time will tell. We're also coming up on an election, so we'll see how that shakes out. Bullet point number 2 here is the impact of inflation on future contracts. We saw the bus contract come in. that's a tough one because we only received one bid. Despite our efforts to secure other bids, that's kind of an odd process. But as we mentioned earlier, the HVAC contracts coming up, and we do have older HVAC units, so we need to continue to maintain those. As Kelly said, we got to get out in front of that. Otherwise, we're just going to see larger spends down the road. But anytime we're looking at equipment and labor, it's coming in the highest we've seen it. Number 3 here is the town appropriation support for structural increases. So that's kind of macroeconomics here. The town's growing, school department's growing, and we hope that the town can continue to grow the revenue side to meet the needs of not only the school department, but all of the budgets in town, police, fire, park and rec, human services, et cetera, et cetera. So when speaking with select board members and finance committee members, give them, and the planning board, give them a break. They're trying to do the best job they possibly can, and everyone's aware of the issue. But we're all optimistic that with some of the exciting projects that are coming to town, that they're well thought out, and that some additional revenue will be coming in that'll help support the anticipated growth of the town. Future collective bargaining association negotiations. So as I stated earlier, this budget presentation is for the second fiscal year, the current contract with the LEA. It'll be like that before we're negotiating the next one. And there are other CBAs within the school department as well. But for the most part, I'm happy to report that both sides presented their points reasonably, and both sides listened, and both sides, of course, had to make sacrifices. But the process went as smooth as one could possibly hope. And
Just a quick question about the busing contract. How many years is that? I know.
5 year.
5 years, so.
Right.
It's a 5-year contract. We're in year 1.
Yes, okay.
All right, and then we're hopeful, we're optimistic. I mean, we are a top performing school district, and the way that our buildings are laid out now, and the room in the classrooms, we have a healthy school choice population. We hope to maintain that to continue to offset some of these operational expenses. But as the town grows, and perhaps we have a new Shaker Lane school coming at some point, certainly a renovation or a new build. What we have for the other 3 schools is kind of what we have. So as new housing comes in, some of those school choice seats might not be made available each and every year. Our school choice population might have to shrink over time as more and more Littleton residents show up and need to participate in public education. It's a concern. It's not an immediate concern. It's not a cliff situation where all of a sudden one year we're going to go from 100 and what was it? 101 to 0. We're going to lose a few school choice students every year because they're going to graduate or they're going to have another option. And we just, as a school committee, need to keep an eye on and be mindful of what school choice seats we open up.
Will we also then though gain tax revenue? It won't be equal to the amount of school choice.
Well, that's a good question.
It's tough. You don't know if
It's
someone's going to
tough.
move in with no kids or 5 kids.
No, but
your-
there's still increased tax revenue.
Yeah, your tax revenue will increase. This, I guess the trick is to grow at a rate where your tax increases are shouldering your increased costs.
Yeah.
Which is pretty hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, as more students, as the student population increases, you get additional Chapter 70 funds for each student, but it's certainly not an equal
Mhm.
Not enough.
growth. Right.
Sort of just belabored this point, but the new development and housing growth potential impact on classroom space, transportation costs, regular and special ed. Fiscal year 2024, current year that we're in, is the end of those SR funds. We were conscious and wise to allocate those dollars towards single-use spends. It was challenging times. Things were needed, additional support for students and staff, air purification, PPE, all that good stuff. Those dollars were put to good use. What we tried really hard not to do was roll those funds into ongoing operational budgetary line items. Which I believe might be some problems for some other districts that we're hearing about. But we managed that well. And we're just going to need to, as we continue on without those funds, we'll just be keeping an eye on that. And then, of course, we've got four school buildings. We share a building with some other town departments in town hall. Moving to Indian Hill, who knows how that's going. There are some capital funding concerns over the next 10 years. So we've got some aging roofs. We've got some HVAC upgrades that are needed. There's the Shaker Lane building project, which is ongoing. We're in the feasibility study portion now. I'm optimistic that we might hear back from that feasibility study in May of 2025 as for the direction that we're going. There's boiler replacements if necessary at the high school. That's just cherry picking a few of them. The finance committee, as they do every year, asks for a plan from all departments. We've submitted that paperwork. They've got a list of everything that we anticipate coming up. We just wanted to highlight a few that in addition to our operational budget and the town needing to help us offset that through appropriated funds, there's also a need or a concern for capital projects over time, which of course they're well aware of, but it continues to be a concern.
I have a question about actually this goes back to Dave Riley's presentation about the energy, but he was talking about one of the expenses during the pandemic was the increased airflow that was required. And then of course that's cold air coming in, so it's more expensive to heat it. And I had asked if that was still the case, and he said yes. So I didn't know, is it best practice at some point to ramp that down now that we're on the other side of the pandemic?
Well, eventually that will happen, but we still, our COVID, not in our district, but in the state and beyond, COVID cases are still around.
Mm.
And, we have RSV going around, et cetera. So, we're really trying to keep staff and students in school as much as possible. So everything that we do to create an environment that decreases the transmission of germs as much as we can is beneficial. There will come a time though where we'll feel comfortable starting to close those dampers a bit. But that would be our long-term, not super long, but the long-term plan. It's worked out well, and the custodians are cleaning high-touch surfaces all the time. We can intercept the germ transmission. Goes a long way.
Yeah, I'll kind of piggyback on that a little bit. I think one of the things that we realized during COVID is that, healthy buildings equal healthy people.
Mm-hmm.
And the quality of air inside a building. This isn't just a response to COVID, but it's all the other germs and stuff that goes around. So during COVID, we had, windows open and dampers open and, like dollars going out the windows. At least this point in time, windows are shut and we've just got a higher concentration of fresh air coming into the schools. If Dave Riley had presented to us, we've really got to close those dampers back because we're again sending money up the smokestacks. We'd be having that conversation, but I think there's a trade-off there.
Yeah.
And he's the expert. So
We've hit that sweet spot.
I think it's something that he's going to continue to reassess each and every year, but he didn't bring it to us as a concern. I think what they realized was, not they, but like sort of the general public was, to increase the dampers and have some additional fresh air in is to everybody's benefit. Is it coming at a huge cost? No, it's coming at, an increased cost, but it keeps people in school and it keeps staff healthy. Probably dollars well spent.
Sounds like a good.
So it's still a multi-level approach. We still have the air purifiers in the classrooms. We're bringing in fresh air. We're disinfecting the classrooms. We're still trying to keep staff and students healthy. So it's kind of a whole education process again of, what can we do to keep everybody healthy, but minimize those heating costs.
Well, if there's anything good that came out of the pandemic, it's the heightened awareness on what it takes to keep people healthy.
It's true.
Can I just like clarify a question?
Sure.
When we were talking about some of the things that we were cutting from our current budget, but are being carried by school choice. I recognized a few things. I think last year we cut from the budget completely, which was the TA positions and the administrative positions, right? Like last year, we just said this, we just have to cut this out of the budget entirely. But now we are going to hire for those, but we're able to cover them with the school choice, or we have to.
Well, the TA, if you're talking about the two TA positions for next year, we will hire them if we need to. Our population changes from year to year, so I mean, for all, who knows, we may need 4, depending on the students that move in to our district, or we may not need any more. So it gives us a bit of a, cushion if we need it. At this point in time, we don't feel we need any more ed assistance, but that may change in a month. Or
But
less.
then, so the administrative support we needed last year.
Yeah,
We
we,
know we
Two
need
different
that.
things.
yeah, there
Right.
were 2 different positions. They
Yeah.
had been the year before, it was for
Special ed.
special education.
Yep.
When we moved the team chairs to special education administrator's position.
Yep.
We're finding at this point in time, they're fine with the current support that they have.
Okay.
If that job probably will continue to evolve, we may have to reassess it a couple of years again. But now we're fine.
Okay.
And the administrative support for payroll, accounts payable, I mean, we still need to work out, what's the best way to move forward. I'm not an advocate of half-time staff and part-time staff, because the chance of keeping them, we're gonna put money into training somebody, I'd like to keep them.
Right.
So it's just a matter of what is that gonna take, and we are working with the town. Our biggest vulnerability, including the town side, is having somebody that can come in and do payroll. And then accounts payable as well, but payroll is the area that's the most concerning. And right now, we don't have a lot of cross training, so we're trying to solve that by combining with the town, but that's probably not gonna be enough. We're gonna need somebody else that's cross trained in payroll and accounts payable. In case somebody goes out for so. But pretty hard if that happens to bring a contracted firm in to take over. They may have the skill sets, but they don't know the organization. They may not know Munis as well as they do.
Okay, I just want to make sure we're all, we keep pushing
I appreciate
positions
that.
down the road every year and they become more and more necessary. I just want to make sure we don't keep cutting those things from the budget every year if they are a priority. So I just wanted to clarify if those are the same positions or if they're different.
No,
Perfect.
good question.
Yeah, thank you for asking.
Any other questions?
Can I just comment though on my appreciation? Given what other towns are going through, particularly 2 of our neighboring towns, in making some very difficult decisions, that we are in a position because of, I think both you, Kelly and Stephen, school committees before us, where we don't spend above our means, we plan, we bring high quality, but not at a cost of being in sort of a deficit position, and that we maintain sort of a healthy school choice savings account, I think is a really wise trajectory of this town, and I'm especially now this year, I'm very appreciative of that.
I mean, we've been strategic and fortunate. So when the pandemic hit, our technology infrastructure was good. And a lot of districts couldn't say that. It took a lot of money for them to upgrade their technology systems. We spent money on an energy manager that has created some great efficiencies in terms of energy use in our district as well. Bringing in programs for students that we used to send students out for has created some efficiencies. So all of those things kind of gel together and helped us be in the position that we're in. Our school choice enrollment, I think my first year here, we had 30 students maybe, Steve. Back
Honestly, it was like 35 or 36 or
so
something.
now we're at 101. We're a sought out district. The reputation has continued to increase throughout time. So all those factors come into play here, but we're fortunate. I mean, we worked hard, but we're really fortunate. We've had the support of school committees in the town to help us move our district forward.
I think we also benefit from a a very transparent and collegial relationship with other boards in town. That it sounds like it's a real back and forth, that people are listening to each other and being respectful and reasonable, and I don't think all towns, all districts are like that. I think in some cases, some of our neighboring districts that have trouble, I think, sometimes it stems from people not trusting each other. Over time, there's been bad blood, and I think, you know, we really benefit from everything being so transparent. Everyone is assuming good intent.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
Thank you both for those comments. So if there's nothing else, we've got a two-part motion here to make this official. I'll move to close the fiscal year 2025 budget public hearing. With a second.
I'll second.
Second made by Jen. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Budget hearing's been closed. And then what I love is a motion from the school committee to accept the presented budget.
Move that we accept the presented budget.
Okay. What we'd like is the dollar amounts to be stated, and if you don't have that information in front of you, Stacy might have it in front of her by chance.
Gotcha. All right, so I'd like to make a motion to approve the FY 2024 budget of 25 million. FY 2025 budget of $30,155,010
What's the appropriated?
with appropriated, yes, there we go, with the appropriated budget of $25,488,928,000.
Perfect. Motion made by Stacy,
You do it. Oh, second.
seconded by Elaine. I appreciate your enthusiasm on trying to make the motion. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we are unanimous. Thank you very much.
Perfect.
Appreciate it.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah. As always.
Yeah, seriously. So good.
Yeah. So clear. It is so clear.
Exactly.
Yes.
Clear,
Yeah.
makes sense.
All right, we'll get back to our regularly scheduled business here, which we should move along pretty quickly. Jacinda, you've been sitting there so patiently. Do you have anything, would you like to add anything this evening? I don't want to put you on the spot, but. No, okay. Gives me a chance to take a sip of coffee. Thanks. All right, we'll roll through our subcommittee reports and then we should be able to get out of here at a reasonable time. So we'll start with PMBC.
PMBC is just, I think, really the high school is done. They are just getting their last items and then they have their checklist for kind of finalizing everything. So as far as I know, they're on their way out of there finally, so.
Wrapping it up finally.
Budget subcommittee, I just want to thank Jen. She's been on the subcommittee for the past couple of years. As has been stated, Jen's not seeking re-election, so your work on the budget subcommittee has been greatly appreciated. And I want to thank both Steve Mark and Superintendent Clenchey.
Yeah.
It was a heavier lift this year. We will wait with bated breath for the town to accept the budget at the town meeting. And then we'll get right back to work. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
It's almost next year budget season already.
Don't say that.
Take a breath.
It's a process. Policy subcommittee, anything for, you guys have been busy, anything additional to report?
No, we did meet, but it was about a wellness policy that we'll bring to you at another time. So we don't have any policies for you to review today.
Totally fine. And the Shaker Lane Building Committee?
Yes, we made some progress. Last meeting we had here, we voted to accept the two architectural proposals. We had to take that vote to the design selection committee meeting. And we were able to review the proposals from both, Feingold's, Alexander and Studio G. Our goal for that meeting was to kind of decide who we would want to recommend for the MSBA for our, I think it's March 26th that we have a meeting with them. We have a conversation with MSBA to kind of discuss which designers we had proposals from and who we wanted to go with. Both are very well qualified architects with a lot of experience with MSBA. So we essentially voted to, during our meeting for MSBA, we are going to request that we have a in-person meeting with both designers so that we can kind of get to know them a little bit better before we choose which one we want to recommend for the town. It's a very long process, something we're gonna be working with them for at least 5 years. So if there weren't any huge differentiations between them, we wanted to kind of meet with them and see who kind of would fit with our group the best. So I think that's the 26th. We're meeting with LSBA. And then after that, we'll go from there once they give us, hopefully they give us the green light to have some type of panel meeting with architects that we can choose from there. Great.
Great, thank you for the update. Is there any other business, subcommittee or otherwise before the committee this evening?
Nice.
Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Beano,
Second.
seconded by Jen. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. We have adjourned. Thank you.